So we're talking about being very cautious of our thoughts on the mental level. Then she goes a step further and talks about the emotional level. And of course, that's in with forgiveness. I remember a couple years ago when I was in seminary, it was my first year, it was the end of our first year of seminary, and we had to do an assignment. And the assignment was to write a letter to our mother, father, and one other person. Now, traditionally, those are the people that really you have a lot of energy, unresolvedness with. And I was very blessed to say at that point that I'd done a lot of my work. And so I'm thinking that I'm so great, you know. I don't really need to really, oh my God, I'm doing great. I don't really have these huge resentments anymore to my parents and such. So I thought, great. So I then went to bed. I had a dream. And I woke up in the morning and I thought, oh my God. In my dream, I was back at my aunt's house when I was a child, and I was facing the wall, and I just heard people behind me. And I remember the table that we grew up around. And I heard like 8 people. I didn't see them, I heard their voices. Guess who those 8 people were?
Your whole family.
No, not even my family. They were people that on some level I have not forgiven. It was so slight, like a cousin who, you know, didn't pay attention to me, or an older brother who, or actually like a friends of the family who I loved and adored and just didn't give me the love that I really wanted. My spirit wanted me to deal with these, so I brought it forward in the dreams. And what she's asking us to do is go deep within our consciousness to identify those who we have not forgiven. Because if we have not forgiven them, we are in chains. We are in the self-imposed chains. Those people that we have not forgiven traditionally do not have a clue that we're angry at them. They're walking around their life happy as pie. We're the ones that are resenting them and holding grudges to them, and we're the ones that whenever we think about them, they don't even need to be in our energy. Whenever we think about them, we go to that place of hell that Ruiz talks about, the place inside of ourselves that's in dis-ease. And if you ever want to know, by the way, if you have some unresolvedness with anyone, notice whenever your body is in dis-ease when someone's around, or if you think about them. Dis-ease, you know, disease comes from that dis-ease, that word. Whenever our body is out of peace, we have something to deal with. How brilliant that our body is so brilliant. Our body temple knows it all. If we're not in the state of joy, which is our natural inheritance and our birthright, guess what? We gotta do something about it. Joy is our natural state of being. Joy, peace, love is our natural state of being. So whenever we have that pit in our stomach, guess what? Issue to deal with. And on many levels, we have to thank that person. Why? Because they brought forward an issue that is getting in the way of us having a joyful experience.
That's right.
I mean, how profound when you think of it that way. By the way, which is the truth, I believe. So she's asking us to really go and do some deep forgiveness work here. Forgiveness means to give for, to let go of old ideas, feelings, and conditions, and to give something better in their place. The giving for provides a vacuum and makes way for new to rush in. So by getting rid of this stuff, this dis-ease, this anger, this resentment, we clear it out, and then there's now room for love and joy to flow more into our life. We're creating a vacuum within our consciousness. Isn't that wonderful? If we do the work. What I love to say is, forgiveness is to give for your own freedom. Give yourself freedom from the limitation that we're placing on ourselves. And I love this. I think it was Michael Beckworth that said this. When we do not forgive someone, it's like we're taking poison and expecting them to die. Right? It's happening in here. And again, oftentimes, they don't even know it. They have a clue what's happening. And it really isn't even what they did to us. It was our perception of what happened. Right? I mean, I can't tell you. You know, I walked around a victim for so many years. I walked around in suffering and pain for so many years. And I can't tell you just some of the concepts that I'm bringing forward tonight, I would have never have gotten 10 years ago. And yet they're so simple and profoundly powerful to me now. And that's why I have such joy. About bringing them forward. So forgiveness, what she encourages us to do is sit for half an hour every day. This is a big one. Sit for half an hour every day and mentally forgive everyone that you are out of harmony with. Sit down in meditation for 20 minutes. I think she says a half an hour, 30 minutes. And sit with whoever, when we think of them, our peace is disturbed. Forgive them, and then forgive ourselves. Oftentimes, what we're really doing is projecting a lot on them, and what could happen is once we forgive them, we then start to judge and blame ourselves. So much forgiveness. Usually, by the way, whenever we have a huge core belief that's getting in our way of happiness, which usually we're projecting it out there, and then once that's healed, we then start internalizing and start beating ourselves up. And so at that point is where self-forgiveness is so important. Does anyone have any questions or comments about forgiveness? I had a woman in a workshop that I had recently who, when she was talking about a certain family member, it was evident, she was just so out of peace. And I said, are you just willing to forgive? No. I said, do you want to take a minute and answer that question again? No. And I said, are you willing to forgive? No. Are you willing to forgive? Maybe. That's all that God needs, is just to open the door for the willingness. And I always say to some of my clients, are you willing to be willing to forgive? Because opening that little crack is all that Spirit needs to move in and to help you, not them, to help you come back to that place, our natural inheritance and our birthright, peace, joy, and love.